Welcome to Super Rant Season 1 Doomsday Preppers. Here we rewatch superhero movies to explore how they build towards bigger stories, starting with Avengers Doomsday and the MCU.
Welcome to the Super Rant podcast, Doomsday Preppers. My name is Kevin Erdman. I'm a lead writer for Screen Rant.
And I'm Brian.
And we're going to be watching as much of the MCU as possible, doing a massive rewatch ahead of December 18th, 2026 for Avengers Doomsday. We're also going to explore outside the universe as well because it's all coming together with the 5th Avengers movie. So, we decided to start with X-Men.
Yeah,
2000.
we're starting with X-Men, came out in the year 2000. We encourage you, if you haven't seen that movie or you want to rewatch with us, pause now, go watch that movie and come back, because there will be spoilers, so please go watch the movie first.
26-year-old spoilers.
26-year-old spoilers.
But spoilers.
But, and then some of those people out there might be saying, oh, well, there's other movies. For instance, technically the first Blade movie came out before X-Men. We are not watching all of them, but we will watch some of them.
We're doing the ones we think are going to be the most relevant.
Yes, and so if you feel like you need to go watch Blade, go watch Blade. It's a fun time.
More power to you. All right. Let's kick off with X-Men.
Yeah.
I think the last time we watched it was probably ahead of Deadpool and Wolverine 2 years ago.
That's the last time I watched it before this rewatch.
What do you like most about X-Men 2000?
I think that it was one of the first, real shots at, a serious superhero movie. Because we'd had other things like the Batman and Superman, Christopher Reeves, Tim Burton. We had all that stuff. But those still had an element of, comic book, suspension of disbelief.
Colorful, campy, that sort of thing.
And those are great movies, don't get me wrong. But this one is kind of they're wearing the leather, things are a little bit more serious. They still throw a few jokes in there, but it's more down to earth. And I think that's really fun. It's got this really cool 2000s feel to it.
Yeah.
And that is very it's a little bit cheesy, but it's still really fun, and it's really they didn't pull any punches, I want to say.
Yeah, definitely on the Marvel side, I think it's one of the biggest first examples of a big, successful superhero blockbuster. And I think it becomes the blueprint for a lot of things we see in the MCU proper. I really liked rewatching this. It was really fun. I especially liked watching it after we just got that X-Men focused Doomsday teaser with Xavier, with Magneto.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, the Cyclops thing
is beautiful.
Is so cool. He's always been one of my favorite characters, and so
it's really good.
Specifically, Cyclops in this movie is pretty cool. He comes across as a very calm, cool, collected guy who's got his stuff together. We'll see in the other movies how that goes. But Cyclops has always been a very compelling character to me, so it's cool to get to see him coming up later on.
One thing I wanted to talk with you about was the classic Cyclops line from that movie, which is, well, what would you prefer? Yellow spandex.
Yeah.
Because we've now got the comic accurate suit.
Right.
It's coming. It's coming at the end of the year. It's following Hugh Jackman Wolverine with the yellow and blue suit and Deadpool Wolverine. Do you think that the Fox movie should have had those suits, comic accurate suits from the get-go?
I don't think that when we started doing this kind of live-action Marvel movies, I think starting with a more realistic take was the right way to go.
Yeah, I don't think the audience was ready.
I think coming in with the yellow spandex and with all this, very colorful, very, comic book-inspired costumes, I think that would have turned some people off. Mm-hmm. We see that with a movie like the Ben Affleck Daredevil, with the red spandex. It didn't really work as well as I think it should have.
Sure.
But that being said, I really do like these black costumes because it's very reminiscent of some of the 90s style X-Men. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That at the time this movie was taking a lot of inspiration from.
Mm-hmm. I also think one of the greatest things we've had from the MCU in this long legacy is that now it feels like comic accurate suits are earned.
Sure.
And now we have 26 years later, there's going to be some awesome payoff, specifically with Cyclops.
Right.
And we get that blue and yellow, and he's just looking awesome. So I thought that was pretty cool.
For me, I think the greatest thing this movie does is the introduction to some really classic and cool characters.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we have that scene with Wolverine. He's in the boxing ring, and he's just taking on guy after guy. And then later in the bar, when the guy comes up to him, he's like, "You owe me something." And the claws come out for the first time. That's just such a great scene.
It still hits hard.
And then Rogue later on asks him, "Does it hurt?" And he's like, "Every time." That's one of the coolest Wolverine lines I think we'll ever gonna get.
I also think this movie just shows why Marvel Studios is going with the OG cast over like the newer cast we had with like Fassbender, James McAvoy. I think, especially when a lot of Avengers 5 looks like it's geared towards nostalgia, I feel like OG cast is the way you've got to go.
Well, and that's the thing. As we look ahead to Doomsday, I'm more excited to see the X-Men in this movie than I am excited to see the Avengers.
It's kind of fun. Yeah, I would agree. At the moment, I'm way more excited about X-Men at the moment.
Well, yeah. and we get, if you look at the trailers, you see, like, potentially Sentinels in the back, and you see Charles, and you see Magneto having this really great conversation. And, like, man, that's just... Yeah. Magneto has always been one of the coolest characters, coolest villains, so I'm excited to see him.
It's awesome that you bring that up, because one of my big takeaways from watching the very first X-Men movie with this cast is that final line with Magneto and Xavier. Magneto's been arrested, and he says, "What will they do when they come for you and your children?"
And he says...
I feel a great swell of pity for the poor soul. It's so good. It's so good. And I loved when they recreated it.
Let's do the whole line. I feel a great swell of pity for the poor soul who comes to my school looking for trouble.
Exactly.
And we see in the trailer the X-Mansion looks pretty...
Someone came to the school. Yeah. Yeah, and that right there, that is like going to be a crazy years old payoff.
So let's go ahead and let's go talk about Doomsday, and let's talk about the payoff and how we see things transferring through to Doomsday. Mm-hmm. And so we have that first bit with the great swell of pity line.
Yeah.
And we know from some of the casting that we're not going to get all of that core cast. Like, we're not going to get Aurora Monroe, we're not going to get Storm, at least that we know of.
Yeah.
And there are reasons for that, which we don't want to cover here today.
Right.
But it brings up the question, well, what happened at the school? Did maybe some of those characters die? Did maybe...
There's Sentinels in the background.
Is Cyclops letting out that blast because he's lost everything, and it really is just him and a couple other X-Men?
They might be the only ones who are left.
Right.
Which is wild to think about. But yeah, I mean, there's big robot Sentinel feet in the background, which has always been humanity's big solution for the mutant problem.
Yeah, well, and we get to the mutant problem, and we start talking about that superpower prejudice that we've kind of already started to see in the MCU a little bit. At the time of filming this, we are expecting Wonder Man.
Yeah, it's just in a few days.
Yes, and so what I'm thinking through, we see in the trailer they're talking about the doorman clause, right? And that you can't be a superpowered being in Hollywood. And we have other things like the Sokovia Accords, where superpowered beings are put on lockdown, and other people can't get jobs. And so it's interesting.
You can even go to like Secret Invasion, and that way that ended was a lot of anti-alien stuff.
Right, a lot of hidden superpowered people in the world.
Yeah.
And so we get to this point where, okay, what happens if mutants are introduced to the MCU and they're just born with these powers? And I think that primes us for that superpowered prejudice that we see so often in the movies, in the comic books, in the shows. That when you talk about X-Men, you have to talk about the persecution of mutants.
Yeah. And I think when you rewatch X-Men now, it's like way less of like, oh, this is just like a fun, like, it feels like a blueprint for the MCU that's on the way in just a few years, you know? It's very cool to see, and I think the MCU's already gearing up, whether it's in Doomsday or whether it's beyond Doomsday and Secret Wars, those anti-mutant sentiments are going to be really easy for Marvel Studios to just kind of slide into, because it's already kind of happening with non-mutant
They've already been making it happen. So I'm going to change the subject a little bit.
Yeah.
I want to bring up this topic. Do we think that the X-Men from the 2000s movie and from the following movies are the same X-Men that we are going to see in Doomsday?
I would be very surprised. I think because of the way that, like, they ended Days of Future Past.
Sure.
And
sure.
then, like, with Logan, which I think was set in, like, 2028, 2029, which I think technically is, like, when Doomsday is supposed to be set. It's different universes, but still, I think it might be more clean and clear cut for Marvel Studios to be like, okay, it's the same faces.
Sure.
Because
yeah.
nostalgia is a powerful
and those
thing.
are characters that we've already bought into.
Yeah, but I think this will be from a universe where it's like, they have those more comic accurate costumes. Like, it's almost, I would expect them to be from a completely different universe. Similar to the Fox universe we know, but maybe a little, it's almost like a merging of the Fox universe and, like, X-Men, you know, the original animated X-Men, X-Men 97, those kind of characters.
Okay, so is this then the universe that we see in Doomsday? Do we think that's the same universe that we see Monica going into, where she interacts with Beast at the end of the Marvels?
That would make sense to me. I think, because if not, then what was the point of that post-credit scene?
And
so
she's supposed to be in Doomsday.
I believe so. I know she's not part of the official cast just
okay.
yet, but I think she might show up. Either, whether it's in Doomsday or whether it's in Secret Wars, who knows? But I do think it's the same universe, because you've got Kelsey Grammer as Beast. He looks more comic accurate, even with, like, they're doing the CGI thing. And I think it's going to be a more comic accurate looking universe.
Sure.
But the actors we all know and love and are familiar with.
Okay. Well, I'll have a point later on in the podcast that I'll bring up in response to that.
Sure.
But keep going.
I think just kind of the closing idea, at least as we were doing this rewatch, of Doomsday, I think will actually cash in on a lot of the themes we see in not just X-Men, but also the original X-Men trilogy.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And we can talk about that more when we get to the end of when we watch X-Men Last Stand. But yeah, specifically in this movie, right, you have these people who are brought together by their circumstance.
Yep.
And just who they are and what they've become. And I feel like that's going to be a big theme in Doomsday. Because you've got Fantastic Four, you've got the Avengers, you've got the X-Men now. And these are all people that are brought together because of their circumstance, because of potential incursion and doom, right? And so maybe it's, well, we know from the trailers that the Fantastic Four and the Wakandans are going to be together. Yeah. And they're brought together by circumstance. And the Thunderbolts, the new Avengers, they are brought together by circumstance, right? But it remains to be seen whether or not the X-Men will be against them or not. Because if they're from a different universe, both universes might be fighting to stay alive.
To save their own universe.
Yeah.
And then it's not just Doomsday and a prelude to Secret Wars. It's also kind of like an Avengers versus X-Men movie.
Yeah.
Which I would not be upset about at all.
I'm very excited for that possibility.
That would be very cool.
So, last thing that I want to say on the Doomsday part of it, and then we can move on to other things, is I'm going to come back to Cyclops.
Yeah.
I'm excited. He looks like he's going to be a prominent character in Doomsday.
Gosh, I hope so.
Because if you go and you're watching X-Men 2000, it is not his movie. It is Wolverine's movie, it's Rogue's movie, it's Professor X's movie. Cyclops is there, and he's the leader of the team, but it's not his movie. Which is okay, it works.
He's just kind of the obstacle for Logan and Jean.
Sure. But you go and you watch the original X-Men cartoon, you read the comics, Cyclops is the main guy.
Yeah.
He's the one who's running the show. And, he and Storm share that role sometimes of being the leader. But Cyclops is my guy. He needs the time to shine.
I think he's going to get
it. And that's what I want to see in Doomsday is justice for that character. I want to see him step into his own. I want to see James Marsden's acting chops. I know he's got them, so let's see it happen. And that's true for other characters, too. As we talk about integrating the X-Men into the MCU, there are certain characters that I would like to see have their time to shine. Like Jubilee. Jubilee is a character that I think would be a fan favorite. She would come in and steal the show. I don't think she's going to be in Doomsday, but Doomsday could lead to her having a role in the larger MCU.
it was funny seeing the one student in X-Men 2000 with the yellow jacket.
Yeah.
And she doesn't get any lines or anything, but you do see in the credits, Jubilee. It's pretty cool.
Absolutely.
But, yeah.
Well, anyways, let's move on. Let's talk about some superhero news.
Yeah.
And so this segment here, it's not going to be just MCU related.
Nah.
We want to cover all superhero news, but it will definitely have a focus on Marvel, because that's what we're here to talk about.
Yeah, we'll do some Marvel, but we'll also do some DC stuff. For instance, right off the bat, just before we started filming this, they released the first kind of big, good look at Jason Momoa as Lobo.
Oh, yeah.
Literally looks like he jumped off the page. I'm super excited.
Phenomenal casting.
I mean, Aquaman was cool, but, just like Momoa keeps saying, it's like, it's the role he most wanted. It's the role it's the superhero role he was born to play. I'm very excited for Supergirl for a lot of reasons, but Lobo is going to be awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited for Supergirl in general, but when you think about casting, and you think about who should be playing who,
yeah,
Jason Momoa needs to be playing Lobo. That dude deserves that role. He's going to own it. He's going to put everything he's got into it. It's just going to be a cool character to see on screen.
Yeah. Other bits of news, like we saw earlier, we mentioned it, Wonder Man is coming out.
Wonder Man's coming.
The premiere was last night in Hollywood. Critics have seen it. I got to see it. It was really cool. 90% when I looked at it last night on Rotten Tomatoes.
Impressive.
I think it might even be up to 94 now. I need to check again. But a lot of people seem to really like it.
Yeah.
I know I really liked it. I'm excited for us to talk about it down the line once it actually comes out.
That'll be way down the line. That'll be the week of Doomsday. We probably end up talking about Wonder Man.
I mean, we'll talk about it. Like, all 8 episodes are dropping at the same time, so we'll probably talk about it a little bit next week. But also, we'll have to rewatch it again as part of the rewatch.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that'll be fun. Seems like a lot of people like it. I think it's one of the most unique things the MCU's done in a while. It's very character driven, so that'll be cool. Other news. Batman, Brave and the Bold.
Yep.
So first, James Gunn made a comment, and he was saying that we're not going to get a lot of Brave and the Bold news because I think he wants the focus to be on Batman Part 2.
Sure. Yeah.
Which I think just makes sense. It's going to be a little while before we get like big reveals. That being said, there were a lot of reports this week that Christina Hodson is going to be writing Brave and the Bold, or at least as the current writer for Brave and the Bold, and she wrote 2023's The Flash.
Yep.
She wrote Birds of Prey.
Sure. So I hear that, and that's kind of a mixed bag for me.
Yeah.
Because I am a huge Flash fan,
Mm-hmm.
and I was not overly thrilled with the Flash movie. It had a lot of cool bits. It had a lot of cool pieces.
Mm-hmm.
I like that they brought Michael Keaton back. But the character of the Flash in the Snyderverse is not something that I've ever felt was an accurate portrayal.
Sure.
That being said, I really did like Birds of Prey. I thought that was a great movie.
Yeah, no, I really enjoyed it.
And Ewan McGregor as Black Mask was phenomenal.
Yeah, and I really liked the whole Birds of Prey team. I thought they had good dynamics.
And
it's
so,
a fun watch. It's a really fun watch.
If we go just based off of those two movies, who's to say?
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, James Gunn killed it, knocked it out of the park with Superman. Looks like Supergirl's going to be cool.
Yeah, and he's that one of the heads of DC Studios, but I think he's staying pretty creatively involved.
Yeah.
I really like that he's very committed to have the script be finished first before we greenlight. That's a very cool perspective, and I think a way to handle things, making sure you have a good solid story before you even start filming.
Yep.
Speaking of The Flash.
Yes, The Flash. Grant Gustin.
Blonde hair.
I don't think it means anything.
And he commented, and he's like, it's not because of Barry Allen or anything. But it was fun for a hot second to be like, oh.
Yes.
Yeah.
I would love to see him come back.
Mm-hmm. The
Flash show was one of my favorites for a really long time. I mean, the first 3 seasons are just phenomenal.
Yeah.
So very cool, but I think his time has probably passed as the Flash.
Yeah. Other couple small bits of news. I think Mark Ruffalo confirmed the other day he's not going to be in Doomsday.
Yeah.
And I think that makes sense because he's going to be in Brand New Day.
Because he's going to be Brand New Day. That would have been a really tough filming schedule. And who knows how Brand New Day is going to lead into Doomsday. We can talk about that again when Brand New Day comes out, because we'll
Mhm.
have a special episode on that.
Yeah.
But who knows, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
Maybe he shows up at a post credits like they did with Captain Marvel at the end of Infinity War.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Totally.
We'll have to see.
Those are kind of the bigger pieces of news I wanted to talk about. But
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll have more stuff next week.
I'm sure there'll be more. There's always more. Well, all right. I think that's all that we've got for today. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching. Next week, we'll be watching X2. So get that on your schedule. Watch that. And so you can watch along with us.
Totally.
We'll be talking about, all the craziness that happens in that movie with some pretty specific characters.
Yeah.
But yeah, go watch it. We would encourage you to continue watching with us.
And it's also your opportunity, if you've never seen them before, watch it now. And then hop on the podcast and we'll talk about it. Great.
All right.
Okay.
Thanks for watching.
Thanks.
Thank you for listening to Super Rant Season 1 Doomsday Preppers. Look out for our following episode next Friday. And remember to watch the upcoming movie before listening. You can find a link to our watch schedule on our YouTube page.